Hello and welcome to a guide for Master Yi. In this video, I'm going to be going in depth on everything that you need to know for Master Yi. And this includes his abilities, combos, build, situational items, rune spells, and how to play him in teamfights, and tips and tricks to be playing Master Yi. So I extremely recommend you watch the tips and tricks section, as it will be telling you how to take your Master Yi to the next level. So I highly recommend watching at least the tips and tricks section if you think you already know everything about Master Yi. So with that being said, let's get straight into it. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to be going over is Master Yi's abilities, but before we do that, we have to go over his passive, and it's a pretty straightforward passive. What it does is it allows every fourth attack to deal 2 auto attacks instead of 1, and you can see it being enacted right here. That's basically what it does, and you can see the stacks above his head, similarly to how Twisted Fate passive works. So the next thing that we're going to be covering is Master Yi's first skill, and this is probably one of his most important abilities and his only gap closer. So it will dash towards a target and hit them up to 4 times, and it's a really good gap closer, and it also immunes any damage or any incoming CC or any of skill shots or auto attacks, and even turret shots. It can immune everything if you use it properly. So what you want to be doing is probably saving the skills until you're about to take damage, or you're going to be CC'd or something like that. And it's pretty useful for also gap closing after someone uses their flash. Alright, so Master Yi's second skill is called Meditate, and basically what this does is it allows him to take reduced amounts of damage when the skill is active, as well as heals him a bunch of HP. It's also important to note that this skill heals more the lower Master Yi is, so you want to be using it, if you're using it after a jungle camp, to use it as when you're as low as possible. And the last thing to note about the skill is it is an auto attack reset, so you can use it for a really short amount of time to reset your auto attack and get it in slightly faster. Master Yi's third skill is an auto attack buff that will buff his auto attacks when this third skill is off cooldown. So if you're just auto attacking someone when your third skill is off cooldown, you'll gain some extra AD. However, if you activate this skill, then you're going to be gaining bonus true damage for the next 5 seconds. So it's a really powerful auto attack buff, and it is used in most of his all-ins and when he's engaging in a team fight or just clearing his jungle camps. Alright, so lastly we're going to be going over Master Yi's ultimate. So Master Yi's ultimate allows him to be immune to all slows and gives him both a movement speed boost and an attack speed boost for the next 7 seconds, which is actually a really long time. This skill will be reset if you do get a takedown in the next 7 seconds. It's also important to note that this ultimate also has a passive that reduces your ability cooldowns by 70% when you get a takedown. So every time you get a kill or assist, then all your ability cooldowns will be reduced by 70%, which allows you to spam your second skill as a gap closer tons of times and results in Master Yi being able to pick up so many pentakills, especially in low elo. Alright, so the first combos that we're going to be going over are Master Yi's auto attack resets. So I have gotten rid of all my items and all my attack speed items just to show you how much these auto attack resets make a difference. So the first combo you're going to be learning is something that I already mentioned, but something that not enough Master Yis I feel like are utilizing, and that's his second skill auto attack reset. So how you want to do this is you want to auto attack, use his second skill, and then auto attack right after. And if you're just auto attacking normally, the auto attack cooldown is pretty insane, especially during the early game. So if you have your second skill and you are engaging onto an enemy champion, you want to keep in mind that this is an option. And the other thing that you want to also note is that you want to be using your first skill as a kind of an auto attack reset and use it right after you auto attack. That way you get the most damage in possible if you are just using it for damage. So how that works is you just want to auto attack, use your first skill, and then auto attack once more. And I feel like those are both really important with Master Yi, as you want to be getting in as many auto attacks as possible, as that is his main source of damage. Alright, so now we're going to be going into Master Yi's second combo. And how it starts off is, this is actually his level 3 all-in, and how it starts is you want to be using your third skill first as it buffs his auto attacks, and you want to be having your auto attacks hit as hard as possible. So you want to be using your third skill, and then auto attacking, and then using another auto attack, as well as an auto attack reset, like that. And then after that, after they use their gap closer, you can use your first skill to get right back to them and then auto attack them a bit more. So that's his level 3 combo, and how it looks at full speed is something like this. Alright, so lastly we're going to be going over Master Yi's all-in that he wants to be using whenever he's going all-in when he has his ult up. So what you want to be doing is, first you want to be starting out with your ultimate, and what this will do is allow you to gap close onto the enemy without using your first skill, because you want to be using your first skill after they flashed or they use their dash or whatever sort of escape mechanism that their champion has. So you want to be ulting in towards them, and then use your third skill, of course, to buff your auto attacks. And then you want to auto attack and then reset it with your second skill. And then after they use their escape mechanism or high CC enemy spells coming in, such as a root or a stun, slows don't really matter because you are in your ult. Then you want to be using your first skill to immune that or to catch up to their gap closer. And then you want to continue auto attacking them. So that is his combo that you want to be using with his ultimate. Alright, so now we are going into Master Yi's items, and for his items I usually go Blade of the Ruined King as his first item. And the reason why I like going this item is not only does it give him some attack damage and attack speed, it also gives him Vamp as well as gives a slow. And also steals a champ's move speed, which is really great for Master Yi when he wants to hit enemy champions, and when he's ganking, it helps a lot, that slow and that move speed increase. So I like going this item first, and it is what most of the highly elo Master Yis use as their first item. The second item that I like using is Static Shiv, and the reason why I get this item is to have faster jungle clear as well as have more critical rate and attack speed. After that, you want to be getting a boot item, and the boot item that you want to be getting on Master Yi is pretty situational. I like getting either Mercury Treads or Plated Steel Caps, which is Ninja Tabbies but the updated version. So the reason why I like getting Mercury Treads is because Mercury Treads provide you with magic resist as well as resist to CC. So if the enemy team has more AP and more crowd control, you want to be getting Mercury Treads. However, if the enemy team comp is more AD, like attack damage, then you want to be taking Plated Steel Caps or Ninja Tabbies. If you have no idea what AD or AP is and you want to learn, then I have an itemization guide. The link will be in the description down below and also on the screen right now. So after that, you want to be buying an enchant on Master Yi. The first enchant that I can recommend is the Quicksilver Sash, and this is when you're playing against champions that have tons of CC. For example, Leona, who has tons of stuns, or any champion that has any roots or stuns that will impair you while you are in your ultimate. You want to be taking Quicksilver Sash to quickly get rid of that, as well as provide yourself with a nice move speed boost. The other item that you can go on top of that is the Glory enchant, and this will help you to rush enemy champions really fast. And Master Yi with Glory and his ultimate is probably the fastest champion in the game. So you can be taking Glory if you want that move speed boost, and also a bit of a cheaper enchant if the enemy team doesn't have so much CC. You can also be going the Stasis, and this is more of a situational item where you want to be going it if the enemy team has lots of burst, like Zed or Fizz, and you want to be immuning key skill shots and key abilities that you can't with your ult, for example knockups or high burst damage like Zed or Fizz. So after that, you want to be taking 3 situational items. The one that I really like taking at the current moment is Death Stance, because it gives you sustained attack damage and also tons of physical vamp. After Death Stance, I like taking Frozen Mallet. It's more of an item when you don't have a tank on your team, as it'll give you tons more max health as well as AD. And the passive on this item slows enemies by 40% after auto attacking them, so that will help you to catch up enemies and help enemies not escape at all, especially if you use your first skill properly as a gap closer. Another situational item that you can consider is Phantom Dancer. This will give you critical rate and attack speed, but the most important part of this ability is the passive, which will give you a shield when you are low. So if you constantly find yourself lower in team fights, you can definitely go this item, as it does well against assassins and champions that want to burst you down. So another item that you can consider is the Guardian Angel, and this item did get nerfed, so it isn't a must-have on Master Yi. I would recommend it mostly if the enemy team has tons of AD, or you need that Guardian Angel revive passive against certain team comps, but I wouldn't recommend taking it every game. So if you want to learn more about situational items and what items to build on every champion every game, because a common mistake I see with Master Yi is they want to build the same build in the same order every single game, and this is not what you want to do with a certain champion. You really want to know and understand the items so that you can be playing your champion at the maximum efficiency every single game. And if you want to check out my itemization guide, as I already said, there should be a link in the description below, so go check that out if you're interested. Next, we have the runes for Master Yi. The first rune that I like taking is Conqueror, and the reason why I take Conqueror is to stack that AD up, and when you have it at max dex, you know how scary a Master Yi can be with max stacks, so that's why you want to be taking Conqueror. The rune after that I like taking is Triumph, because it will give you 10% missing health this time, and it will help you deal more damage to enemies who are low. So this will allow you to go for those 1v5 pentakills where you can heal off of enemy takedowns, and it will really help you, especially when you are going on those rampages and killing tons of enemy champions. So the rune that you want to be going for your third rune is Hunter, and the reason why you want to be taking Hunter is for that max health and tenacity every time you get a takedown. It'll help you snowball really well if you get kills. However, if the enemy team has lots of slow and you're really scared about that, then you can take Spirit Walker, as it will give you both max health and slow resist right from the get-go. For his last rune, you can be taking Hunter Genius if you want the cooldown reduction on his skills, and you only want to be taking this rune if you think that you're going to snowball. If there are counters to you on the enemy team, which I'll be going over later into the guide, like Leona or those kind of champions that can stun you and pull you like Blitzcrank, then you don't want to be taking this rune, as it'll be a bit more risky. Then the rune that I would recommend is Mastermind for the extra turret damage, because Master Yi is pretty decent at split pushing as well as extra gold when you take certain objectives. So those are the 2 runes that I recommend for his inspiration rune on Master Yi. Lastly, we are going to be going over the spells for Master Yi, and those spells that I recommend on Master Yi is first always going Smite. If you are jungling, then you need to take Smite. But if you are going Baron Lane Master Yi, you will have a bit more options. So if you're going Jungle Master Yi, you take Smite, because it is a necessity when jungling. And the other spell you have a little bit more options with. You can be taking Ghost or Flash. If you're a beginner player, I would recommend Ghost, as you're going to be making the most of Ghost more often than Flash, and it goes really well with his ultimate, and you're going to be able to run so many champions down with that move speed. However, if you need Flash, then definitely be taking Flash. Flash is definitely the go-to spell if you want to be climbing, and if you're in higher elo and there's certain skill shots that you need to dodge with Flash, or just have another gap closer for engage or disengage. So Flash is definitely another option. If you are playing Master Yi Baron Lane, then you can be getting the best of both worlds by taking both Ghost and Flash, and this will allow you to chase down any champion and have 2 gap closers. So this is definitely what I recommend for Master Yi in the Baron Lane, or if you are playing Baron Lane and you need Ignite, then you can be taking Ghost Ignite or Flash Ignite. The reason why you want to be taking Ignite is for that extra bit of burst damage, but especially if you're playing against champions with tons of heal, and that includes champions like Dr. Mundo, Fiora, or if they have a healing support on their team like Soraka or something like that, then you want to be taking Ignite for the Grievous Wounds and that healing reduction. Alright, so now I'm going to be giving you some tips and tricks for Master Yi, and this is probably the most important section of the video, so if you did make it this far, then I commend you. So the first tip I have on Master Yi is to how to team fight with him properly. And so when you're team fighting, Master Yi can be really impaired by those CCs, especially if you're running straight at a champion with a root or stun. They know exactly what you want to do, and in turn they are going to fire a skill shot straight at you, and when you're going that fast, it is pretty hard to dodge. So you want to be making your pathing, and you don't want to be running straight at a champion and then trying to use your first skill, as that's going to be super duper predictable. You want to be expecting skill shots and understanding cooldowns when you are engaging with Master Yi. So my first tip for you is to engage properly and understand what the enemy skill shots are. So my second tip for you kind of relates to the first one in that you are avoiding key skill shots, and that is to kind of use your teammates as baits or as meat shields to take the brunt of the damage. So after the enemy has used their skill shots and their knockups and their ultimates on your teammates, that's when you want to be engaging, and that's when you want to be turning the tide of the battle around. So you want to be waiting till those key skill shots have been used on your team fights and those key abilities have been used. That way you can go in unimpaired and get that 1v5 pentakill that you see oh so many Master Yis get. So that's my second tip for you. My third tip for you during team fights is to go for more flanks. And this will allow you to approach your enemies at unique angles and different angles that they're not expecting you to go in. And this allows you to pick up messy team fights. And that's what Master Yi really, really loves best, when the team fight gets really messy and you can just pick off champions one by one and auto attack them down, and then use the increased reduction on your cooldowns to go and assassinate another champion and another champion and another champion, and before you know it, you've gotten a pentakill. So what you want to be doing is going for more flanks and going for more messy team fights. So my fourth tip for you isn't exactly how to team fight, but it's more about his jungle pathing. And jungle pathing really depends on what kind of clear you want to be doing with Master Yi. In the early game, you don't want to be ganking as much. You want to be ganking lanes that seem more probable that there's going to be a successful gank. Other than that, you want to be continuing to farm because you are a late game carry. You do want to scale into the late game. And the reason why Master Yi is so good is his really great scaling. So you want to be power farming more in the early game, and then later into the game is when you want to be dominating the game. So for his early clear, I would recommend more full clears and not to go for some early ganks. However, if you know that there's going to be a really volatile matchup in the top lane, then you want to be pathing towards there. And if you really want to understand jungle pathings even more, I have made a really recent guide on jungle pathings. And if you are a beginner jungler, or even if you are a high elo jungler like diamond or master, or even higher than that, then you want to be watching that guide, as there are some tips and tricks in that guide that even high elo junglers don't understand. So definitely go watch that guide if you want to learn proper jungle pathings. But yeah, my fourth tip for you is to learn proper jungle pathings. My fifth tip for you is to learn how to use Master Yi's kit in a more versatile manner. For example, you can be using your ultimate not only as a way to engage, but it's probably one of the best disengages in the entire game, as you can't be slowed and you can just run away super easily with that movement speed. So you want to be thinking about how you can be using different skills in different ways, because Master Yi is thought of more as a one-dimensional champion, and that's why he doesn't do so well in high elo. So you want to really understand his kit and be using it in as many ways as possible. So my last tip for you is just to subscribe to this channel as I do a bunch of educational content and guides on this channel. That's all I do. It's just Wild Rift content and guides for you to learn and become a better player and rank up in Wild Rift. So if you want to be doing that, then a quick shameless plug, and go hit the like and subscribe button down below, and leave a comment if you have any questions or concerns about Master Yi. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.